Okay, when I say the word technology, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Chances are it's the smartphone in your hand, or maybe the laptop you're watching this on. But what if I told you that's just one tiny piece of a way, way bigger puzzle? Today, we're going to figure out what we're really talking about when we talk about technology.
So, let's just ask it outright. What is technology? Now, if you pictured all those gadgets, gizmos, and humming machines, you're not wrong. That's what most of us think of. The hardware, the software, all the stuff that lights up and beeps. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, and we're about to see how deep it really goes.
Here's the plan for our little journey. First, we're going to look beyond the gadgets. Then, we'll dive into the super important difference between technology and technique. After that, a quick trip back in time to see how we got here. Then we'll explore the wild idea that our tools actually shape us. And finally, we'll tackle the big one. Is all this stuff a blessing or a curse?
All right, let's jump right into part one and expand our definition of technology, because it's so much more than just a bunch of cool gadgets.
This is kind of our default setting, right? Technology equals the physical stuff we can build and touch. You know, machines, all our electronic devices, big industrial hardware. And again, that's not incorrect. It's just, well, it's not the whole story. Not even close.
But check this out. Here's a more formal definition. The practical application of knowledge or a manner of accomplishing a task. Did you notice what's missing there? Yeah, there's nothing about wires or screens or silicon chips. It's all about a process, a way of doing things. And that little twist, it changes everything. Seriously, think about what this means for a second. If technology is just a way to get something done, then a recipe for your favorite cookies. Yep, that's a technology. The language we're using right now, it's a technology for communicating ideas. Even the way a company organizes its teams is a technology for getting work done. Wild, right?
Okay, so this leads us to a really crucial idea. The difference between technology, with a capital T, and technique. This is all about the what versus the how. And once you get this, it's a total game changer.
Let's break it down, make it super simple. Technology is the what. It's the tool, the system, the body of knowledge. Think of a guitar. The instrument itself, that's technology. Technique, on the other hand, is the how. It's the skill, the method, the action of actually playing that guitar. One is the thing, the other is the masterful way you use the thing.
And once you see it this way, you start seeing technique absolutely everywhere. And I mean everywhere. It has nothing to do with machines. There's a proper technique for dancing, a delicate technique for arranging flowers. People study negotiation techniques for years. Or think about all the self-help techniques out there. It's all about the how, the skillful action. So you might be wondering, if technology has always been this super broad concept, how did we all get stuck thinking it just means iPhones and rockets? Well, for that, we need to take a quick trip back in time.
It all started way back in ancient Greece. Their word techne just meant any art, craft, or skill. But then big thinkers like Plato and Aristotle started to draw a line in the sand, separating mental skills from physical things. Fast forward to the Renaissance and you get people like Leonardo da Vinci who were just blown away by the power of machines. And that fascination just kept growing and growing, right up to today, where for most of us, technology and hardware mean the exact same thing.
Okay, so this brings us to a much deeper, kind of mind-bending question. We usually think of tools as, just sitting there until we decide to use them. But is that really how it works? Let's explore this idea that maybe technology isn't so neutral after all. Maybe it's actually shaping us.
So there's this classic philosophical argument, which basically says that technology is totally neutral. It's just a tool. A hammer doesn't care if you use it to build a birdhouse or smash a window. The tool itself is indifferent. It's just a means to an end. Makes sense on the surface, right? But is that really true? Let's put that idea to the test. A car is a technology designed to get us from point A to point B. Is it just a neutral box on wheels? Or does the choice to use a car, and to build our whole world around cars, have much, much bigger consequences? Let's look at this. Say your goal is just to buy something nearby. Choosing an individual car might seem convenient, but when a whole society makes that choice, you get sprawling suburbs and a car-centric culture. But what if the technological choice was different, like mass public transportation? Well, you get more efficient commutes, and you build totally different kinds of communities. See? The choice of tool isn't neutral at all. It literally builds the world around us. In fact, a philosopher named Jacques Ellul argued this goes even deeper. He basically said that when we use machines all the time, we start to think like machines.
The logic of efficiency and standardization starts to leak into our culture itself. We start to organize our whole lives in a more mechanical way.
So, if technology is this massive force that's actively shaping our world and how we think, we have to ask the ultimate question: is it a good thing or a bad thing? Let's get into our final section and look at the two extreme answers to that question. Is it a blessing or a curse?
In one corner, you've got the utopian view. This is the idea that technology is the engine of progress. It's going to solve all our social problems, make us all prosperous, and lead to a golden future. But in the other corner, you have the dystopian view. This is the warning that technology steals our jobs, invades our privacy, makes us materialistic, and might even threaten our basic human dignity. And I think we've all felt a little bit of both of those, right? But of course, there's a third, more moderate view in the middle. This perspective is a bit more chill. It says, hey, hold on. Technology has been causing massive social change for centuries. The disruption we feel from the internet might not be any crazier than what our ancestors felt during the Industrial Revolution. Plus, you could argue that with modern education and communication, we're actually more adaptable to change than ever before.
So, after all this, what's the one big thing to take away? It's that we have to break out of that gadget mindset. The real key is to see technology not just as shiny hardware, but as this huge interconnected system of knowledge and skills that is constantly, actively shaping our world and shaping us.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Based on this bigger, broader definition we've talked about, what's one technique, one skillful way of doing something that you use every single day, that you never once thought of as a form of technology until now? Really think about it. The answer might just surprise you. Thanks for tuning in.